Hey, beautiful bride of Christ, how are you doing today? I just did an entire video for you, and then my dog messed it all up. So we're starting over. Okay, so today, this week, we are talking about Matthew chapter 5, verse 6. They who hunger and thirst after righteousness shall be filled. I love how Jesus relates this to food and drink. He always tells his parables and his stories in ways that are so relatable to us where we are. We all know what it's like to be hungry and to take care of that need in our lives, and we all know what it's like to be thirsty and to take care of that need in our lives. And so he's telling us here to hunger and thirst for righteousness. So when we hunger and when we thirst for things, I love that in the world in the natural sense. If you think about hunger and thirst or wants or desires, you think about pleasures, like whether it would be relational pleasures or relationships, friendships, buying things, actually eating food, different things that we want or enjoy, or even sometimes turn to fill us up in ways that they really can't fulfill us. So I think it's interesting that he used, they that hunger and thirst for righteousness, they shall be filled. Because we're all looking for that filling. We're all looking for that thing that just satisfies, right? And truthfully, the thing that really satisfies is Jesus and our relationship with him and his presence and his word. So, righteousness, let's talk about it. I think righteousness gets a bad reputation because it makes us sometimes feel less than when we think about righteousness. It makes us sometimes feel like we're not doing enough, like we're not enough when we think about righteousness and how we may be falling short. I've been seeing righteousness differently, perfection differently than what I've always thought of it as in the past. If you think about righteousness and perfection, or striving, that striving for perfection, striving for, the word perfection means whole and mature. And I think I've talked about that before, because I've talked about taking the ugly off of that word, because everybody thinks perfection means goody two-shoes or, whatever. And really, it's just maturity. It's something we should strive for. He's coming back for a mature bride. He's coming back for a bride without a spot, without a wrinkle, without a blemish. Pretty much sounds like perfect. But not necessarily in the sense that we're going to think of where I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to do every little thing perfect and I'm going to check it off my list and look at me, I'm perfect. No, that's not it. That's not it. It is positioning our heart toward him. In the Old Testament, Job was called a perfect and upright man. Now, do you think Job really lived out his days perfectly? Like never making a mistake? I mean, probably not. So God saw something in Job that God deemed as perfect. So righteousness, when we are hungering and thirsting for righteousness, it's not about checking off some list that makes you feel like you're this or that, or that whole sense of, I gotta be good enough. I don't think it's that at all. I think it is, righteousness is agreeing with God. It is saying, yes, I agree with you, God. I turn from what I thought was the best way, and I just agree with you. I mean, if you're like me, we've all tried it our own ways, and it's just so much easier his way. So anyway, I listened to this 80-something-year-old woman, and she is just a little spitfire preacher, and throughout her preaching, she will say, who will agree with God? And I love it. Like, it has stuck with me so much, because just throughout her, at random, she'll be like, who will agree with God? And I'm like, oh, that is so good, because that's it. You know, that is just it. That to me is becoming more and more how I see righteousness. It's not getting things perfect all day long, but it is that nudging in my heart where God's going, your attitude really is not right now. And instead of me wanting to hold on to that attitude, just in my heart going, yeah, I see it, Lord, and I'm shifting it to you now. I'm shifting my eyes back on you, and forgive me for that. Let's do it better. Help me do it better. You know, it's just those little things of yielding and returning to him. Those moments of, anger or anxiety, or, and it's not necessarily the big things. It's just the little things. Just having him on your heart and your mind throughout the day, in your conversations. The big sins are easy to point out, but I think a lot of us probably struggle mostly with our conversations and accusations and blessing those who curse us, and those are tough. Those are tough ones. So I will find myself more and more lately, because I'm learning to deem this as precious. I've always thought that I did. Growing up, I thought, oh, the Word of God's, it's so important. It's so this, it's so that. But the more time I'm spending with him, and the more I'm getting closer to the Lord, this Word is precious. It's so precious. I'm committed to it, guys. I pray that I'm as committed to it as I feel like I am. I pray that if push comes to shove and I was ever put on the line for it, that I would be strong enough to do what I know in my heart I think I would do, so. But anyway, righteousness is seeing Jesus tortured and not wanting to make an excuse for the sin that he was tortured for in my life. So let's talk about that right now. And this is not a guilt trip. This is not me shaming anyone, because I daily have to take things to the Lord and just be like, okay, God, here this is. I'm laying it open before you. Help me. Change me. What is something you're holding on to right now that you know in your heart of hearts is in direct contradiction with God, that maybe you need to just have a conversation with him about? Maybe just talk to him about it. Maybe it's even something that you're just not sure you're willing to give it up, but you need to have a conversation with him about it. If there's any chance, look at me, any chance that his precious body was brutalized over something you're holding on to, let it go. He's worth it. Jesus is worth pursuing righteousness. He is worth laying whatever it is down that we need to lay down. And he's right. He's always right. Whatever sin you think you just gotta have in your life, I promise you, he's always right. It's so much better his way. It's so much better his way. So anyway, if you want to be filled, truly filled, pursue righteousness. Hunger and thirst for righteousness. And Proverbs chapter 11 has a lot to say about righteous and unrighteousness. I was studying and praying today and came across Proverbs chapter 11, and it has a lot to say about it. Pretty cool. I actually read a lot of Proverbs chapter 11 for you, but then Rocky interrupted everything and I had to delete that video. So I'm going to let you read Proverbs chapter 11 on your own and let me know what you think. So I love you guys. This righteousness thing is good. It's good stuff. You know, we're all running this race. And it's not about, did you hear the cow behind me? It's not about feeling guilty. It really isn't. Conviction's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. If you got some sin going on that you've totally embraced and you're hugging on it, conviction's a good thing, my friends. But Jesus isn't coming to condemn you. He said, I didn't come to the world to condemn the world, but that the world through me might be saved. Saved, set free, made whole. It's good stuff. And everything he says in here is freedom. It's freedom, I promise. I promise. It's so good. It's so good. All right, I love you. If you have any questions or comments, drop them on the page and we'll talk about it. And if you need prayer, drop it on the page and we'll pray. So anyway, I want you to be encouraged this week. Jesus is King. God is on the throne. Keep your eyes on the prize. He's coming. Make yourself ready, girls. He's coming. I love you. Bye.